Before we go into why a knife is legal or illegal, the ones that we looked at, I want to say that I am not a lawyer, and this is my opinion based on my reading of the law, and I learned a long time ago when things go to court, it doesn't always come out like you think. So don't say, well, Secret Corshian said this, so therefore it must be. But with that said, this is something I know absolutely is illegal. And it's illegal for several reasons. Number one, it's a designated throwing knife. And you saw it, by definition, throwing knives are illegal. Secondly, most people, the vast majority of people, would consider it a Bowie. And Bowie, though not defined, this meets the common definition that would most likely be accepted, and so it would be illegal for that. Thirdly, it's got a blade that's well over 5.5 inches, so it would be illegal for that. There's no question this knife is illegal, the K-bar, because it has a blade well over 5.5 inches. I do want to say something about this. I said it was used in World War II. It was. In fact, that's when it came about. However, this knife has been used in every war since then by our GIs, and many of our GIs. And right now, there's not a doubt in my mind, in fact, I know for a fact, there are people in Afghanistan, soldiers, and other parts of the country that are defending our freedoms that are using this knife. This is a wonderful, wonderful knife. And I think you can get it in a 5.5 inch blade, which would make it legal for you to carry if that was a desire you had. This is unquestionably legal. It's got less than a 5, it's a 4-inch blade, and it is very sharp, and it's used to slice as much as anything else, so it's not, quote, a dagger, etc. This cold steel, I said, I don't know. It's got a very thin blade, and it's got a very sharp point. And so, by some definitions, this could be considered a stiletto. Not a dagger, but a stiletto. And if it was, then it would be illegal, though I think that it's probably fine. This is unquestionably illegal because it is a dagger. It's a dull dagger, and it is useless as far as I'm concerned compared to some of these others, but it still hits the definition, so it is illegal. Now this one, this is the butterfly knife. Butterfly knives are supposed to be legal, but look at the blade. Could a judge say, well, you know what, that's a stiletto? Maybe. I mean, the only way you know is if you were in court and then that was the case. And like I say, I'm not a lawyer. But more than likely this is legal, as is this. And the thing you need to remember, though, it is legal in Texas, but it may not be legal in your municipality, because the state of Texas did not say that the municipalities had to follow the state law. They can have their own. Same thing with this. This is a switchblade. It used to be illegal. It is legal now in the state of Texas. However, can you carry it in Dallas? I have no idea. I don't know what the Dallas ordinances are. This has always been and is still illegal, and one of these days, I think this is the reason this finally became legal. But it is legal, and the history between these two and the comparison, and when we look at our governing body, this may not always be legal. I mean, who knows? The history is really interesting, but this is not the time to go into that. This knife is legal, and there's not a doubt in my mind, because it doesn't have any of the qualifications to make it illegal, and the blade is 5.5 inches. I would never carry it because it's so big and bulky, but still, it's legal. And this knife is definitely illegal for 2 reasons. One, it was advertised, is advertised as a throwing knife. The second thing is, though it's dull, it is still a dagger, So it meets two qualifications that makes it illegal. My little money clip knife, legal. I just bring it up again in that somebody buys one that's very similar to this and they're not paying attention, and if part of the blade right here is sharpened on both sides, then it is classified as a dagger and is illegal. So, but this itself is not, and it is legal, and that's fine. Now, one thing that makes all of this really ridiculous and really, really stupid is this. This is legal for anybody in the state to carry in most places if they've never been in trouble with the law and they go through the proper procedures to get their concealed carry. Empty, for those of you that tend to freak out on these things. And empty. Now, the really silly thing is that this can be taken away from an otherwise law-abiding citizen if they happen to have, because they forgot and put it in their back pocket or something, this little thing. And since this is illegal, that's a Class A misdemeanor, and then this could be taken away from the same person. The same thing can be said about my sweet little Kershaw here that I use for a money clip, if it was sharpened on both ends. So if you ever get a small knife, be aware that it has happened where people that had a very small knife that was considered a stiletto, that it was made illegal. So one other thing I want to bring up, and we're going to go out and throw knives here in a second. This is illegal because it's a throwing knife. This is illegal because it's a throwing knife. And then I had some others that you saw also. But the people that made the law know nothing about throwing knives. When we go out, I'll throw this, and I'll throw this, and you'll find out, and maybe some others, that I'll throw at least one or two folders, that you'll find out that with just a little bit of practice, a person that's skilled can throw these knives, which are actually much sharper and heavier than this, and therefore much more deadly. But again, like I say, what does it matter when somebody can carry this? So it's confusing on what is legal and illegal. Otherwise, law-abiding people can get caught up and end up being in trouble. And the best thing to do is just get rid of the law. But meanwhile, let's go out and do some throwing, just because I like to throw. Okay, here we are. I'm going to begin by throwing the throwing knives, the ones that are supposed to be thrown. And I'm a no-spin thrower, so for whatever reason. So those three can stick. Now we'll go and try the knives that you're not supposed to throw. Now these are fixed knives that are non-throwers. You can carry them on you, so wherever you go you can have them if you want. And as you see, they stick just as well as the others. These are pocket knives that are carried easily. I have one here and I have one over on the other side of the back of the knife. Anyway, a pocket knife or a folder, you're not supposed to be able to throw those, so they say. And if you're a little closer, you can do that. So, silly. One thing I haven't talked much about are club laws. They're about as ridiculous as the knife laws. What is a club? What is a legal club? What is not? It can be questionable. But if you have a baseball bat with you and you're going to play baseball, that's fine. If you're walking around the park, I don't know. I do believe that you can walk with a walking stick, and this is legal as I understand it. I know I've walked with walking sticks before. This is a Dow that represents one. I've walked with walking sticks before, and the police have come by and never said anything to me. But it's good to have, for if a dog gets loose and comes after you, you can keep it away.
If you need to, you might be able to whop it. It can be defensive, and it could be defensive against people if you knew what you were doing with it. But that's legal. However, I can also walk, and I do, with a pistol on me, and that is legal and lethal. And if a dog, a big dog, pit bull or a shepherd or something attack me, I could pull out the gun and shoot it, okay? And if several people came after me and pulled a knife or something like that, I could pull out a gun and shoot them. And that's going to be very lethal. This is not necessarily lethal. It could be. This is just a baton, and it's an extendable baton. If I carried this with me, which would be, put it on my belt, light, easy to carry in one hand, you know, just put it in my pocket if I have to pick something up. But if a dog came loose and came after me and I could carry this, you know, I could defend myself. Maybe kill the dog, but darn sure hurt it and make it decide it might want to go bother somebody else. Same thing if a set of, a number of people came up, 2 or 3, and they wanted to rob me, and they said, we're going to take your money. And I pulled this out, and I said, well, okay, you can try. The gun would be better, but a lot of people can't or don't carry, but they could, with a little bit of practice, be very good with this. So again, these laws are just as stupid as the gun laws, and they should be repealed. Not the gun laws, the knife laws, and they should be repealed also. Well, this is the reason I think we need to repeal all of Texas's knife and club laws. Basically, they do not do what they're supposed to do. And because of their complexity and sometimes clarity, they put the law-abiding citizen in jeopardy of committing a Class A misdemeanor. If you agree with me, please contact your state representative and senator and tell them that you want these laws repealed. Also, it would be greatly appreciated if you would like this video and subscribe to this channel.